So welcome guys. Welcome to another episode with me. How exciting. Today actually my drink is some apple juice with sparkling water. If you know, you know. If you're German, you know what I'm up to. But yeah, that's my drink of choice today. And today's topic is going to be very emotional for me, I think. And I'm trying to keep it together, not start crying or, like get too mad and angry, because in the end of the day, this is my part of the story. And this is how I have experienced things, how I have perceived things, but it's not, I don't know how the other person has felt about this whole journey. So we don't know about this. So I'm saying we because we're in this together now. I'm sharing you my tea, so we're in this together now. So yeah, anyways, yeah, we'll see. Let's just dive right into it. And actually, I think the main thing I want to talk about is when you meet someone that you truly fall in love with in a way you have never experienced before, and to decide to love them unconditionally. So I think unconditional love is going to be like the major topic, but we'll see. I'm always slipping into other topics, so I don't know if I can stay on that. But yeah, everything happened last year, and I already talked about this before in my other episode, but just like deep dive or like a slow recap. I met someone last year in April, and ever since I encountered with them, everything in my life switched, everything changed, everything turned out to be something else than I thought my life would unfold, if that makes any sense. And yeah, I feel like, how can I explain this in a way that it doesn't sound fucking stupid? Okay, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the twin flame journey. And I didn't know anything about this journey at all. Like, I knew about like soulmates and that you can have like different kinds of soulmates, and like depending on who your soulmate is, it can be romantic, it can be platonic, whatever. It could just be a sweet encounter with someone in a coffee shop and you just feel like you've known this person but you have never really spoken with them. And since like the time, or like over the time I've been encountering with this specific person that I met in springtime, so probably exactly a year ago, I, for whatever reason, came across the term twin flames, and I dig like really, really, really deep into it, because I truly believe in guidance, and I believe in the divine, and I believe in that we are guided. And sometimes I don't believe that we find information for no reason. Like, we always find information for, like, specifically when we need information, we're gonna find it. So for whatever weird reason, like, everywhere I looked, it was about twin flames. So I was like, something here is significant. So I looked into it and was very skeptical about it. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but that, like when you reincarnate on Earth, that your soul splits into two pieces, and not that you're not whole on your own, but it's just more like one holds the divine feminine energy, the other one holds the divine masculine energy, and together you build or create this like perfect balance and are meant to be together. Like, that's truly what twin flames are, is like they come down to earth to teach others unconditional love, and that true love can be messy, and that's not always like rainbows and butterflies and whatever. And yeah, I mean, that's just, I think, just a short story of what twin flames are. But I mean, there's like this whole journey that you go through where you meet them and you go through a massive transformation as a divine feminine. They run away from the connection because they just think it's too intense. They have never felt anything like this before. And then you go into a deep push-pull situation where someone is chasing, the other one is running away from it. Sounds very toxic, right? And I don't know, the thing is, I think one important information that I need to mention too is that twin flames are extreme mirrors to one another. So normally everyone mirrors something in you, like parts of your energy, but your twin flame is like exactly the fears you have. That is exactly what they're mirroring back to you. So they're triggering the shit out of you. Sorry. But they're triggering you a lot because ultimately the twin flame journey before you're coming into union is about healing. It's about you learning that you're whole on your own, that you don't need anybody else, that you're an amazing human being without somebody by your side, and that you are the love of your life. Like, that's ultimately what the divine feminine's goal is, to like come into that realization. And as far as I remember, the divine masculine is more about like accepting his own emotions, accepting the healing he needs to do, like realizing a lot of things of like how they have been like flaky and whatever in the past, and how they need now, like they need to truly commit to someone, or like, I think it's not really commit to someone, but more being in the energy of providing for someone, and you know, like just being the protector for somebody else. Like, that's more like how I would explain it right now from the top of my head. But like, I currently, since you will know why I'm so like detached and like pushing away this topic soon, but like, yeah, that's what it's about. You need to know this, because otherwise what I'm about to say is not gonna make any sense. So, me meeting this person, after I think a couple encounters with him, I realized, or like I had an intense, deep inner knowing that this is my person. And we all know how we can sometimes be like, you know, super naive, or like be like, oh, I wish this would be my person. Or, you know, I've been there. I think we've all been there. And yeah, this is my experience. But this time it was different. It was more like as if my soul was speaking to me, and it was a very deep truth that I felt, that he was my person and that he represented home. And I have never felt anything like this ever before. And I've been trying to push it away. I've been trying to push the whole connection away. I've been trying to like not fall for it, not encounter with it, whatever. But here I am. I did. And let me say it that way, it didn't go as planned. It didn't go as planned. And that's where like the messy part comes in now. And maybe I'm just releasing you from the weird in-between story that happened between me chasing him running away from me, then him coming back, and me being like, whoa, why is he back? Like, you know, like typical situationship. Like, if you want to look up what a situationship is and like how it probably turns out, this was probably exactly how a situationship is. And I mean, whatever. I think I think at this point I just need to accept that I was wrong. Like, maybe he wasn't my twin flame. Maybe I was not on a twin flame journey. Maybe my soul recognized a karmic soul contract that I had with him, where I needed to think that I'm on the twin flame journey to learn the things that I have learned and to experience what I've experienced in such an intensity that I could learn these lessons. Because I think if I wouldn't have believed that he was the right person for me and that it is him, I think I wouldn't have learned the lessons the way I did, to be honest. I think I wouldn't have learned to love myself in the way that I have. And one thing that you normally would do when you are on a twin flame journey as a divine feminine is like completely focusing on yourself, like knowing you are a magnet to your divine masculine and that they will reach out when time's right. They will come back when the time's right and you don't have any control over it. And what that helped me with was to learn that love is not a person. So every time I was sitting at home and thinking of him and being like, oh my God, I miss him so much, I would ask myself what the desire was that I had. Like, was I looking for intimacy? Was I looking for feeling loved and cozy and whatever? So then I would try strategies on how to give that myself. So for example, if it would have been just, like craving quality time and then cuddling together and whatever, my strategy would have been then like, okay, cool, let me just make myself a cup of tea and, get my favorite crystals and put on some chilled music that makes me feel super cozy and then just lay in bed. Like, even stuff like hugging yourself, like that sounds so weird, but hugging yourself is a thing. It works, it helps, and you need to try it. And yeah, just playing around with these things, or like whenever I was longing for something, I really like always came back to what is the core of it. And this now helps me to, whenever I'm going into the energy of, oh, I wish I would have someone by my side currently, I'm going back into, okay, but what is it that I want? Comfort, for example, like someone who supports me in my current projects. Well, what I did then was just telling the divine, like, hey, I want to start a podcast. I'm completely overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And it would be nice if if you could send me help. And what happens a few days later, I'm meeting someone and he's also starting his podcast now, and we're kind of like doing this together now. And the thing is that through that, I'm learning that it's not about a person. Like, I don't need a romantic partner right now to like pursue the things that I want. Of course, it would be nice. Like, I would lie to you if I wouldn't desire and like deeply desire to be with someone again. I do. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be with anybody, and I don't want to be, especially with nobody who doesn't fully appreciate me. So I'm like, I would rather just learn now to like hold the energy of like, I can give myself whatever I need, and not in a hyper independent way. That was the word. Not in a hyper independent way, but more in a way of like, how can I access an emotion that I'm looking for? Because it is just an emotion. The only thing that I'm desiring in that moment is to feel a specific way. And what we learn also in manifest, right, is that we can have all emotions all the time. Like, that's, I think, one thing how, like, at least I have been encountering with my manifestations more and more is like focusing on bringing the feeling in. Like, how does it feel if I would already be in a relationship that is healthy? And yeah, that's just one thing of a lot of things that I've learned over that time. And yeah, I think like just in general, like learning that you truly are the love of your life, and that there's nobody out there that is going to completely you, is such a freeing feeling, and helped me in so many ways. Because I think partially, to be honest, in the past I was trying to make decisions based off on like, oh, how can I meet the love of my life? And I know this sounds nuts, I know, but I don't know, I was just thinking like, if I move to Vienna, could there potentially be the love of my life? Could I meet them there? And would I want to meet them there because I don't know if I want to be with I don't know, just these weird thoughts, it would just creep up. But now I'm just like, no, it's coming wherever I am, and I don't have to look for it. It's coming to me whenever the time's right. And doesn't matter where I'm living, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, because when the time's right, the divine is just gonna be like, here you have it, here you have it, you wanted it, here you have it. And I know I cannot control this. I know I cannot control when it's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen. So there's no real need for me anymore to like even think about it, honestly. Like, that's just really where I'm at right now, is like, whenever I encounter with someone, I just let it be that, and not put any label on it. Not be like, oh, I don't know if I feel the vibe, let me just say that's just friendship. Or like encountering someone where like, oh, he's attractive, that could potentially be something, but I'm just like, no. No, you know what I mean? I'm just like, no, I'm not letting myself go back into like trying to put a label onto something. The only thought that I'm having, like, okay, I'm open to it, because I know things can unfold in unexpected ways, and I don't want to do the same thing again where I already label something as something, and then because of the label the disappointment is created. Because I think the issue with labels a lot of times is that we can, or maybe should say I, and I don't want to say I don't know, I think maybe you guys resonate with this, maybe not, but like, I tend to go into fantasies. If I'm like, I don't know why, but it's just like, if I'm already thinking like, how would it be being with that person? Because I mean, you need to be able to see that, right? It's not something that you can just like, that's at least what I thought. I thought I need to think about it to be able to know if that could work or not. But now I know I shouldn't do that. I should just let it be and just completely focus on something else. Like, completely focus, for example, on the podcast. Just focus on that 110%. And if someone sticks around, cool. And if they don't, they don't. And if something clicks inside of me one day and I'm gonna be like, oh my god, this is it. I don't know what I would do then, to be honest. Like, after this whole experience, I have no fucking clue what I would do. Well, I shouldn't swear that much, I'm sorry guys. I don't know what I would do. Well, I think we'll find out when the time's right, but now it is what it is. And yeah. But coming back to like the unconditional love topic, it was such an interesting thing to like practice, because to me, unconditional love is a choice. Of course, like, you need to love someone deeply and like on an extremely deep level. And guys, I love this person like so much on such a deep level. So it was not a hard choice for me to practice unconditional love with him, because for me, unconditional love had a lot to do with detaching the love from the person. So really making the conscious choice of being like, okay, like, I love this person, and if they mess up, that's not gonna take away from the love that I hold for them, because I do not love them for their actions, I love them for who they are. And I think that's why like unconditional love needs to be with a very like you need to be able, you can only feel that, I think, with a very specific person, where you have seen the darkness, you have seen the light, and you choose that this person still deserves the most love you could ever give them, and like even if they wouldn't heal, you would be okay with their shadow side. And just being like, okay, that's their shadow, I see it, and I'm still okay with it. Even if that could potentially hurt me, I accept it. And yeah, that's ultimately what I did. And I think the only hard thing when you choose to love someone unconditionally is to learn to still create healthy boundaries. And I think this is where I was struggling with, because with that specific person, it was less about what he did, but not what he was not doing was more the issue. You know, like being consistent, that these things, like that was something where it was hard for me to, like, when you're in the situationship with someone and you think you're in a twin flame journey, you think, okay, like I'm healing this, and then ultimately what normally would happen is like your healing is mirrored back in their healing. But the thing ultimately also is that you cannot control when that healing will happen. And as far as I remember, like from my understanding, the divine masculine is more in denial for a very long time, and then they have more like this snap moment where they realize how much they have messed up, and then they go into like a massive transformation over like a very quick time. But I mean, I don't know, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. I cannot tell you about that, but I can tell you about the part where in my mind I was like, okay, he messed up. I just realized, okay, he's my twin flame. We're just gonna say now he's my twin flame just because it makes it easier for me to say it that way, even though I still don't know if it was a twin flame journey. If he is my twin flame, I would rather not him being my twin flame with everything that happened, to be honest, because that would probably be easier. But whatever. Just a little side note. But when I was like, the thing with my making boundaries, when you think you're in a twin flame journey, is because you think they're just triggering something inside of you so you can heal it then, and they didn't trigger you because they were intentionally triggering you, if that makes any sense. And like, I think to be fairly honest, the last year I've been so deep in my spirituality. Like, it wasn't even a joke. Like, I was so deep in like 3D reality, 5D reality, like really like spirituality on like a very intense level. And yeah, like channeling my own messages, receiving visions, receiving dreams. Like, that's something I can go into a little deeper if you want me to on another video. And like, I feel like I should talk about this on another video or another episode. But yeah, still, so these things, like, there are a lot of visions that I received about him and like us in general and whatever. So with all that stuff, like, it's really hard for me to set boundaries, and being able to call somebody out on something that they did when I was like, oh, I don't want to be the drama queen in this situation, you know? Like, that was my thought all the time, because I thought to myself like, I mean, technically we're just in a situationship, and I always knew that. Like, I knew that he still needed to clean up in his life before this could happen in any way. So that's why I thought to myself, like, I'm just gonna give him room and space to like clear up his shit so that we can make this work. And yeah, guys, what I had to learn the hard way is unconditional love is not unconditional tolerance. Well, let's sit with that for a second. Unconditional love is not unconditional tolerance. And I mean, in some ways, like, my ex relationships have not been the healthiest. So especially like my last relationship, like how that fell apart was also like very, very, very intense for me. And I went through like a very, 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 very intense heartbreak for like 1.5 years or something like that. But that's like already, I think, almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, something like that. Yeah, 3 years almost ago, I think. I don't want to lie to you guys, but I think it's about for 3 years, something like that. And yeah, but it's not unconditional tolerance. And I think this is like where it's so hard when you have, especially when you have been in like toxic relationships before, you kind of like, I think, to be honest, like my bar was of standards was still very low, I would say, as like someone showing an effort would be considered as, and probably was just a bare minimum, to be honest. Like now reflecting to it, that was just probably it. But I don't know, it's like I think sometimes it's so hard to look back into a situation, right? When you're filled with anger, when you're filled with sadness, and you look back at a situation, it's like so easy to go into like, I was so naive and I was so, I don't know, whatever it is. But I think the important thing to remember is that it was not that case. You know what I mean? Like you have felt it and you felt it truly, and for you it was real. And that's just like from my perspective now is like, I need to accept probably that I wasn't wrong about this whole thing. I wasn't wrong. And just because it was real didn't mean that it was meant to last. And I think that's like a very hard reality to also learn, is that sometimes we have encounters with people that are extremely intense and whatever. And sometimes it's still not meant to be. It's just not meant to be. And maybe like the biggest learning after all is to realize that there are people out there that truly see you, that hear you, that can protect you, that, I mean, protection I think is like such a broad word to say, right? But for me it's like more, I think, emotional protection rather than like physical protection. Because I mean, if you're up to spirituality and things, you also know that when you're naturally healer, and I know that I am naturally healer most of the times, or they feel safest when they are with someone whose natural energy is a protector. And that's where like the divine feminine, divine masculine energy comes in, because divine masculine energy is about protection, is about protecting the divine feminine, because the feminine is meant to create and the masculine is meant to protect. But yeah, this was such an intense journey. And I was just yapping right now. I don't even know really what I've shared and what I haven't shared in this episode. And I think there's like more that I want to talk about this, but maybe it's like not the right timing to talk about it yet, because maybe there's gonna be like another realization that I'm going to have after like some more time of reflection. Because like this whole thing for me realizing that this is probably not gonna work out, and I probably was on a false twin flame journey and I didn't know about it, is like, I think 3 weeks. I found out about this 3 weeks ago. So it's still fresh. It's still fresh. The wound is very fresh. It's very interesting. It's like this is the first heartbreak that I'm experiencing where the first thought that I was going to, after of course crying or whatever, like that stuff, was truly anchoring myself in the knowing that my true divine counterpart is already on his way to me, and that if the divine is taking him out of my life, that just means that there's something even greater and something even better on his way to me. And I think maybe that's also something that maybe he was just opening a door for me. You know what I mean? Because there was so many things that I learned that I would say, like, the way that I see love is so much healthier. The way that I mean, of course, like, when you have been in like toxic situations before, relationships, whatever, there's going to be healing when you are in a relationship, no matter how healthy it is and whatever. But at the same time, I think I now am at a point where I could become a very, very, very healthy partner with everything that I learned over the last year and the belief of being on this twin flame journey, even though it may have not been true, which I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's some part of me just feels like this is not over yet, but I don't know if that's just my ego that doesn't want this to end in the way it did. Because that would have not been like an ending that it deserved, if that makes sense. But also, same thing. It's not something for me to figure out. It's just... if something is meant to happen, it will happen. And if he was just showing me that I can be loved that way, I can feel love that way, and I can feel this safe, then maybe that was his job, and that will be okay too. And even if it's not what I preferred, I think that's also something that I am learning too, is now that sometimes I think that an outcome would be the ideal outcome and exactly what I desire. But then it's just my fantasy. It's just what I would have envisioned that it would be to be with that person according to the good sides that they have shown me. And finding out in the like afterwards, like how I did about all his like shadow sides that I wasn't aware of, I don't know if it would have truly worked. And that's why I mean, like, sometimes we fall into these fantasies of like seeing the good side in someone and then just creating the beautiful fantasy of how it would be being with them according to their good sides. But of course, we're leaving out the sides that are not so pleasant. And yeah, this can just create a false reality. And yeah, it probably is for the best, even if that's something I don't see yet. It's like funny because my higher self already knows that something even greater is happening and is going to happen, because otherwise I wouldn't have been so chill about this situation. Because for like a real heartbreak, I'm fucking chill, to be honest. Like, I'm very like, all right, divine, you're taking him out of my life? Cool, then show me who it truly is. Like, that's just really the energy I'm in. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm pushing away the grief and the pain, but I think the real thing that came out of me through this is like, at this point, is like action mode. I'm like, all right, now I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to show you what I'm capable of and what you've missed out on. Like, that's kind of like the... that's kind of the energy that I'm in right now, which is great. And I think, like, if it would crush me and I would be super sad at some point again, it would be okay too, because it's just emotions flowing through me. It's not like I don't have to be attached to it. And I think that's also something that I have now learned, and maybe I'm gonna close it off with that little story. But something that a lot of my friends have been telling me about, and I've also experienced for myself, is that sometimes when you are manifesting something, you first receive the complete opposite. So like the easier way to explain it would be, you're trying to manifest money, right? Like a specific whatever you had in mind, you manifested whatever. And then before your manifestation arrives, you're receiving a big bill. Like whatever, you're receiving a big bill and you're like, whoa, where did this come from? Why do I have to pay for this? I don't have the money for this. How's this supposed to work? And most of the times, what that is an invitation from the divine that asks you, do you still want to believe in your old beliefs and go back into panic and thinking, oh my God, I'm not abundant. How am I supposed to pay for this? And going into panic mode. Or are you choosing your higher new version that chooses differently, that affirms, okay, a bill is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to let go of the money that I hold, because money is also an energy. It's a flow. It wants to flow. It doesn't want you to hold on to it. It wants you to let it go, and when the time's right, it's going to flow back into you. And like really showing that you're detached from it, that you're allowing it to leave, to go. And that's most of the times before something massive is going to happen, or something massive is entering into your life. And I was thinking about this the other day and talking about it with a friend, where I kind of realized that I was kind of in this similar situation, but different. Because this idea of being with this person was taken away from me very drastically and very radically. And I would have had the choice to decide to close up my heart, believe that all men are assholes and that my divine counterpart is never going to come, and that I was completely wrong and I was wrong to love that deeply and whatever. But funny enough, like my first reaction was more going into he, not in general. You know what I mean? I was not thinking about all men are this and this and this. I was thinking like, oh, he's an asshole. He's he. And I decided to leave my heart open and be like, okay, if it's not him, that just means good. That door is closed right now, whatever that means. I'm letting it go. I'm detaching from it. Because what I have manifested is a healthy relationship, is my my true divine counterpart, the person that I'm meant to spend my life with, and that I'm able to build the vision that I have in my mind and that I have, like my higher self has, right? So I decided to be open. I decided to choose to tell the divine, like, okay, if you're taking him out of my life, then I'm open. I'm open to when it's going to happen. I'm open to who it is. I'm open to everything. And just truly being okay with that. And we'll see. We'll see. I will let you know if something arrives or not. But still, whatever. I affirm differently. And if it was good for that, it was good for that. Who knows? Yeah, but it felt good to let these things flow out and like really talk about them with you guys, and having this like little cozy situation of like sharing it.